In a peaceful green valley, there lived two friends who couldn't be more different: Rabbit and Mouse. Rabbit was quick and full of energy, with long ears that could catch the softest whisper on the wind. Mouse was small and clever, with bright, curious eyes and a heart overflowing with kindness. But despite their differences in size and strength, they shared a special bond, helping each other every single day. Every morning, as the sun painted the meadow in gold, Rabbit would hop out of his burrow for a good stretch. Not far away, Mouse would peek out from behind a mossy stone, waving his tiny paw. "Good morning, Rabbit." Mouse would squeak with a cheerful heart, "Good morning, Mouse." Rabbit would reply with a grin, ready for another adventure. Their days always began together, sharing sweet berries and laughing over silly little things. Everyone in the meadow knew that wherever Rabbit went, his dear friend Mouse was sure to be close by. One afternoon, however, the cheerful blue sky vanished behind a blanket of dark, heavy clouds. Rain began to pour down, turning the meadow paths into muddy streams. Mouse hurried back to his cozy little home under a large tree root, but to his horror, water was flooding in. He desperately tried to push the water out with leaves, but it was just too much. "Oh no, my home," Mouse cried, his small voice trembling with fear. Through the drumming of the rain, Rabbit's sharp ears caught his friend's tiny cry for help. Without a second thought, he used his strong legs to leap through the mud and puddles, racing to Mouse's side. "Don't worry, Mouse, I'm here," Rabbit said, his voice calm and reassuring. He carefully scooped up his little friend and carried him to the safety and warmth of his own dry burrow. Tucked in and safe from the storm, they watched the rain fall together. "Thank you, Rabbit," Mouse said softly, his heart full of gratitude. Rabbit just smiled and replied, "That's what friends are for." A few days later, the sun was shining again, and Rabbit was busy gathering carrots for the coming winter. He pulled and tugged on one particularly large carrot, but it was stuck fast in the ground. "Ugh, I can't get it out," Rabbit sighed, his muscles tired from the effort. Mouse, who had been watching, scurried over and looked closely at the base of the giant vegetable. "Maybe I can help," he squeaked. With his tiny paws, Mouse began to dig all around the carrot, loosening the packed soil. "Try now, Rabbit," he called out. Rabbit gave another mighty pull, and pop! The giant carrot came flying out of the ground. "We did it," Rabbit laughed, rolling the huge prize over. Mouse beamed with pride. "See, even small friends can help in big ways." One evening, as twilight settled over the valley, Rabbit and Mouse were walking near the edge of the deep woods. Distracted by a beautiful firefly, Mouse wandered a little too far from the path. Suddenly, a pair of glowing eyes appeared in the shadows. It was a fox. Mouse froze, his heart pounding in his chest. Just as the fox was about to pounce, Rabbit heard Mouse's terrified squeak. He didn't hesitate for a moment. Rabbit jumped out into the open, thumping his powerful hind feet on the ground. "Hey, over here," he shouted, drawing the fox's attention. The fox turned and gave chase, but Rabbit was too fast, zigzagging through bushes and over logs. The confused fox eventually gave up and disappeared back into the forest. Rabbit hurried back to find Mouse, who was still shaking. "You saved me," Mouse whispered. Rabbit gently placed a paw on his friend's shoulder. "We protect each other, always." After their close call with the fox, Rabbit and Mouse decided they needed a new home, one that was safe and strong for both of them. They started building it together right away. Rabbit, with his strength, gathered sticks, mud, and large leaves. Mouse, with his clever mind, planned out a network of tunnels and secret hiding places perfect for a quick escape. They worked side by side, day after day, helping each other, sharing their ideas, and cheering each other on. When it was finally finished, their new home was the strongest and coziest place in the entire meadow. Other animals came to marvel at it. "How did you two build something so wonderful?" asked a curious squirrel. Rabbit and Mouse looked at each other and answered together by helping each other. When winter arrived, it brought icy winds and a thick blanket of snow. Food became scarce, and the days grew cold and dark. But Rabbit and Mouse were prepared. Rabbit shared his stash of giant carrots, and Mouse shared his collection of seeds and nuts. One week, Rabbit caught a bad cold and couldn't leave his bed. Mouse stayed by his side day and night, bringing him warm, moss-soaked water and whispering comforting words. Later, when Mouse grew weak from the cold, Rabbit stood guard at their entrance, a silent protector keeping all danger away. They made it through the harsh winter, not because they were strong or clever on their own, but because they never had to face it alone. When spring finally returned, the meadow exploded with color as flowers bloomed everywhere. All the animals gathered to celebrate the end of the long winter. The wise old turtle, who had seen many seasons come and go, watched Rabbit and Mouse playing together and smiled. "Rabbit and Mouse have taught us all something very important this year," he said in his slow, deep voice. "What is it?" the other animals asked, gathering closer. The turtle looked at the two friends. "True friendship," he explained, "isn't about being the same size or having the same strengths. It is about having a heart that is always ready to help again and again." Rabbit and Mouse heard his words, and they looked at each other, their smiles saying everything that needed to be said. They knew their friendship was the greatest treasure in the whole valley.